Dateline Marion with Marion head football coach Kerry Martin, and we head into week 8 of the high school football season, the final game of the conference season in the South 7 Conference. And we've said it before, you got to take the bad with the good, and last week wasn't such a good game. The Wildcats lost to Centralia 46-32, and it was a game where in particular, one player really gave you fits. Rashad Campbell had probably one of the best high school football games I've seen in a long time, and really Marion's chances for a third straight conference title.
He did. He's an excellent football player. And as good as he is, we probably made him better. But a lot of credit goes to him. He played in a tough weather condition situation and played quarterback for the first time all year in a direct snap situation. He plays there some, but I mean, he was able to get his hands on the ball every snap of the game, and just did an excellent job. He's a tough kid. He can catch, he can run, he can throw. He's fast, he's big, he's elusive. I mean, he's got all those components you look for in a good football player, and he certainly tilts the field. And the conditions I think warranted maybe some missed tackles and so forth, having trouble getting our footing when he changed direction, but no excuses. We'll give him a lot of credit for having a great game, and we just I wish we had a little better performance.
Your team now 5-2 for the season, 2-2 in conference play, and as you look back on that game, defensively you struggled against him, and you knew he was going to get the ball a lot, especially with Sasaikic out, and it was pretty much a foregone. Offensively, you played a pretty good football game.
Yeah, we did okay on offense. I thought we had some good drives, and early in the game we could mix the run and the pass, and as the weather conditions began to take their toll on the footballs that we had checked in for the game, we really struggled. The ball did not handle the wet conditions very well. It deteriorated beginning about midway third quarter through the fourth, and we became one-dimensional because of the ball condition. Matt got to the point where you watch his delivery, it's more of a shove than a throw, and then we fell behind 2 scores late and had to try to throw it to come back, and it just was not. Things, as you said, kind of came unraveled in the second half, and our ability to stay on the ground, we were having some success. We had to get away from it.
Now, one of the things that I talked about a little bit, and didn't mention it with you, but talked about some other people, the game that Rashad Campbell had really kind of overshadowed a pretty good performance by Henry Jones. 173 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns running the ball, and a 86-yard kick return for a touchdown as well.
It's a pretty good night, isn't it? He's an outstanding football player too, and Henry always comes to play, and he was having a great night, and we've leaned on him pretty heavily, and he's been able to carry that for us, and I know he'll continue to do that through the season. And he's just a hard-working guy. I mean, I had a lady today, Cheryl Buffington, she says when Henry plays the way Henry plays, you don't just see it, you can feel how hard he's playing. And I really think that sums it up pretty well. I mean, I think Henry's way he plays the game is something you just don't see. It's something you feel as well. And as he plays so hard and he gives so much. And credit the offensive line, who had a really good ball game, I thought, opening holes for him in those conditions, and a defense that had shut out Cahokia the week before, and a defense that had played a great game against Carbondale. We went out and scored a lot of points against. That's a pretty good sign offensively. But just made enough mistakes that 32 points wasn't enough.
We talked about this guy last week, and given a full week to know he was going to be in the starting position and to prepare that way. Jared Doris, 55 yards on the ground, had some nice runs. I think he had a nice catch or two in there. So he's really come along, forced into that position.
He really has, and then we'll have John Dalton back this week, so we'll have John and Jared both on the offense and be able to keep each other fresh and spell each other. But he's earned the right to continue playing some. I think he's he carried some fakes out so well, our own camera people were fooled by it. Certainly the Centralia players were fooled by some of the fakes that he carried out for extended periods of time, for 20, 30, 40 yards downfield. It's impressive on film, and that's the kind of unselfishness. Hey, I'm not getting the ball. You'd think a player might think, I'm not getting the ball, so what? Even when he wasn't getting the ball, he was doing the things that you look for from a good player, blocking or carrying a fake out, and that's important when you're trying to be successful.
What have you taken out of this game from last week? I mean, other than the fact you don't have to play Rashad Campbell anymore.
Well, certainly when you look at the film, there's always things that you can improve on every facet of the ball game, and I think, we've made some changes on our special teams where we've made some adjustments in other areas that will hopefully compensate for some of the mistakes that we made, And I'm not in the business of ever blaming the kids, because that's the easy way out for some coaches, and it's the wrong message to send. I think kids are your players are a reflection of what you prepared them to do, and so we've had to make some adjustments personnel wise and so forth to make some, I think, improvements in our team. But kids are kids. They learn. They make mistakes. And you as a coach have the job to empower them to be successful. And I think we can do a better job. We're going to continue doing a better job of putting our kids in better situations to be successful. And so I think we've learned a lot. A lot of things we're going to do will be just tweaking some personnel and the way we approach certain facets of the game.
You refocus now. The conference title is out of the question. Centralia's already clinched at least part of that and can clinch the whole thing this week. The focus now is the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
And you're playoff eligible with 5 wins, but obviously you want to eliminate all doubt, and Friday's a good place to start.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of doubt with 5 wins. I think we're approaching it as if we've got to win to get in, and we have to win one of these last 2. We'd love to win the last 2, and just absolute guarantee 7-2, no questions asked. 6-3 will get us in, but we don't want to be 6-3. Our goal is to win these last 2 games and have some momentum going into the playoffs. But we have 2 tough opponents. We have a Carbondale team that is better than their record, and they will always play us tough. And then we have a Normandy team out of St. Louis, who's, I think, sitting at 2-5 right now, but they play a very tough schedule against a lot of opponents that we don't really exactly know how to gauge who they're playing. So we're prepared for 2 very tough games, as our season has been tough all year. And we need to continue getting better. This is a great time to really hit our stride. I thought against Althoff 2 weeks ago we played very well. We need to regain that. We've been a bit inconsistent this year, kind of hit and miss, as you know, playing really well one week and not so well the next. We've got to find that consistency, get in the playoffs, and kind of hit our stride.
Outside of the Heron game, which no longer exists on the schedule, this is probably the biggest rivalry game that these two that you have in the season. And if you go back and look at some of the games, 60-53 or something like that. Last year or 3 years ago over in Carbondale, an overtime game. A lot of scoring points, and then last year Carbondale snuck up and beat you after you'd gone through the first 4 and beat Centralia in a big game. They came back and beat you. So this is one of those games that you have to really be ready for.
You do, and we know that, and they know that. I mean, it is a rivalry game. I think it's a good rivalry. We have a lot of respect for Coach Custer, and I think he does for our program as well. And it's been a healthy rivalry. It's been one that a lot of our kids know each other, and they've given us tough ball games every single year. I mean, like you said, high scoring affairs, overtime affairs. So we know we've got a tough ball game, but again, that's what we're kind of used to. We don't have we've had one big blowout win all year long. I mean, we know week in and week out we got a 4-quarter slugfest to go at, and we're not talented enough just to take anybody lightly. And we know they're 4-3. They're fighting for their playoff lives, and so we got to be ready, because I think they've proven themselves. They've beaten some good teams, and so we expect to get Carbondale's best on Friday.
Some of the names that Carbondale's had in the past they don't have anymore, but one that sticks out, Bryce Reno Gibson.
Yeah.
He's been around for a long time, and he's an important part of their offense, because I think he's one of those kids that not only runs the ball but catches the ball, and they use him in a variety of different places.
Yeah, you got to know where he is every time. You got to find him. He runs a little wildcat, I think, and he can do a lot of things. And he's, like you said, he's been playing since his sophomore year, and he's a dangerous player. He's fast. He's talented. Quarterback is a good quarterback. They've got some very good defensive players, some linebackers that I think are really standout players. So it'll be a tough night. It's a great matchup. It ought to be a great homecoming game.
And talk about the fact it's homecoming. One of the things that I think, we've mentioned that you get to the point where you just kind of overcome all the distractions involved with homecoming. I think this team has kind of embraced that homecoming atmosphere. And, it's been a long time since the Wildcats have fallen short in a homecoming game, regardless of who they're playing. And so I think that's something that this team has really started to embrace, having that extra atmosphere and really warming up to that when they play.
I agree. I think it's one of those things we've tried to tell them, that enjoy it and have fun with it, but understand know when to throw the switch. When practice begins, it's time to focus on football. Then it's bonfire time, enjoy that. Pep rally time, enjoy that. Parade, enjoy that. But you have to compartmentalize that a little bit and know when that's over, you've got to shift gears and go into the football mode. And our kids have handled that so well over the years. And I don't think this year will be any different. I think the winner and loser of this ball game will be who executes the best, not who had homecoming and who didn't. But I think homecoming is a nice reminder for our players each and every day. There's something to remind them about the big game coming up. And so we kind of use it as a motivator, and they'll be excited when they see the town during the parade. The kids making little masks, wildcat masks and paws and so forth. They have breakfast each morning at an area primary school, and I just think they're excited by the time we get to Friday to go out and not just play for our program and for our team, but to play for the community and the graduates have come before them.
Now Friday is your annual Gold Rush game, and the fans will be all decked out in the gold T-shirts that they've been selling for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
A little bit different wrinkle for the football team, and this is something I was curious about as the season went along. You ordered new uniforms beginning of the year.
Right.
The road uniforms came in for the start of the season.
They did.
The home uniforms did not. And
Right.
when it got past that 3-game homestand, I'm thinking, I wonder what they're going to do. Are they going to Are they going to get the new home uniforms and wear them, or are they going to wear the gold ones? And you guys have made that call.
Now, our kids want to wear the new uniforms. It's a Navy.
And I can't say I blame them either.
No. For our seniors, there's no guarantees of another home game after Friday night. So they want to have a chance to wear those new uniforms. So we're going to wear those, and hopefully we can start a nice tradition with those jerseys themselves, and go out and play well on Friday and look for a big crowd. We've had amazing crowds this year. Almost every home game has had a huge turnout, and that's a good incentive for our kids also.
And then the other incentive that we talked about. This is the one that guarantees you a playoff
That's right.
berth. And has the team really kind of responded to that? I know it's early in the week in practice as we record this, but do you feel like the team has really responded to that?
Well, I mean, we're just up front with them. We always are. I mean, we just flat told them this is it's a must-win situation the next 2 weeks. We have to go out and win ball games, and if you want to maintain the playoff tradition of 7 consecutive years and make it 8, if you want to, continue having a shot at a state title, you got to get in. And we're at 5 wins. 5 wins is very, very shaky right now. I think with our playoff points, we need to win to get in. And if that isn't enough motivation, then we can tack on homecoming and new jerseys and whatever we got to do. And the bottom line is a great week of practice is what'll help, I think, make the biggest difference of all.
And then you can also, if you want to, tack on a little bit of revenge from last year too.
Well, we've talked about that too. Yeah, they outplayed us last year. They played hungrier than we did, and we got out early and just turned the ball over too many times, and we turned it over in crucial situations as we were driving the ball almost every time. And so we've got to fix that and make sure that we play 4 quarters.
All right, we'll see you Friday night.
Sounds good.
Friday's homecoming. The Carbondale Terriers in town. This is Marion head football coach Kerry Martin for Dateline Marion. I'm Tim Petrowich.